Hello everyone, this will be Chapter 6 of A Second Life, written by Die Earl Connigan 6083, and read by Insect Overlord. Jason fumbled with his phone, opening it and calling someone, hopefully Dick. Danny continued to cry. His head was starting to hurt. Danny's crying, Jason told the person on the phone. He is asking for you. We're in Bruce's office. I may have asked him about his nightmare, and bribed him to tell me. I wouldn't have done it if I thought it'd be this bad. Danny could feel Jason's wince, as he no doubt received a verbal reprimand from whoever was on the phone. Danny didn't really pay attention, crying softly. He just felt all over the place. He'd been angry this morning, then sad, then happy, and now sad and scared again. He was just so tired. Danny just wanted to stop crying and go to sleep, but sleep meant more nightmares, and that phantom pain in his limbs from the electricity. He could almost hear his own scream echo in his ears. Danny curled tighter around his elephant. He lifted his head when he heard the door to the office open, seeing his dad, Dick, come racing in. Danny was still scared and sad, but his dad, Dick, was here now. Things were going to get better. Launching himself up into the air, he flew right at his dad, Caretaker, clinging to him like a koala, the stuffed elephant hanging around where Danny had circled his arms around his dad, Dick's neck. His dad, Dick, stumbled a bit back, but didn't fall. "Oh, little bird," Dick said sadly, petting his hair. "You've had a real rough day, haven't you?" Danny nodded, his face still hidden in Dick's shirt. Dick sighed deeply. "Yeah, you need to get some sleep." Danny brought his head up, looking imploringly at Dick. "No, I don't want to sleep. Then I'll have nightmares." "You need sleep, Danny," Dick insisted, carrying Danny out of the office. Danny looked over Dick's shoulder, meeting Bruce's concerned eyes. Jason was leaving the office as well, just behind Dick, with a guilty look on his face. They walked a little while, Danny sniffling, tears rolling down his face slowly. Bruce stayed in his office. They made their way into the library, with a massive fireplace and large windows. There was a large plush couch, along with 2 matching love seats and 4 armchairs. Dick set him down, and Danny reluctantly let go, clutching Jazz the elephant close to his chest. Dick sat next to him, pulling Danny into his side. Turning his torso, Danny hugged his dad, Dick. "You hungry, Danny?" Danny nodded, his tears finally starting to slow. He hadn't realized how hungry he was till Dick said something. "Jay, can you—" "Yeah, on it," came Jason's curt response. Dick sent out a few texts while he rubbed his hand up and down Danny's back. The rest of Dick's siblings, who Danny had been playing hide-and-seek with, entered the room one by one. Cass sitting on the couch next to Danny, Damien took an armchair, and Tim took the love seat. Jason returned, hesitant, before making his way to the other empty armchair. Danny felt exhaustion hit him. His head hurt, he was tired, but Dick's hand on his back felt nice. His eyes were drooping. They closed. Danny just drifted, not really asleep, but still very aware of everything around him. He didn't know how long it was till Alfred came in with sandwiches on one of those cool 3-tiered things. The elderly man placed them on the coffee table. "Here we are, young sirs and madame. The vegetarian ones are these 2, Master Damien. Eggplant, tomato, and pesto. And this option here is classic egg salad sandwich. The rest are tuna, turkey, and ham and cheese sandwiches. I will return shortly with beverages." Danny blinked sleepily, watching Alfred leave. Dick nudged him gently. "Go ahead, you get to pick first." "Me?" Danny asked, surprised. He'd kind of assumed it would just be everyone for themselves. "Yeah, we'll pick ours after you. Youngest to oldest," Dick said with a grin. Danny hummed, looking over the sandwiches. They all looked really good. Getting up from the couch and making the short distance to the coffee table where the assortment of sandwiches were, Danny grabbed one of them. He wasn't really sure which one it was. It just looked good, with lettuce and tomato and slightly tinted red bread. He'd never seen lightly tinted red bread before. Well, not that he'd seen a lot of bread in the first place. "Turkey, nice choice," Tim said from his spot on the love seat, reaching forward to grab one, getting his hand swatted at by Damien. Richard said youngest to oldest. "I am next." Damien scowled, grabbing the eggplant sandwich. "Yeah, but you weren't going to take the one that has meat, like me, so it's fine," Tim countered, annoyance creeping into his tone as he grabbed one for himself. Cass and Jason looked at each other. "Ladies first," Jason said, waving a hand at Cass. She did, grabbing what looked like a tuna and cucumber sandwich. "Are you going to try it, Danny?" Dick asked. Danny took a bite, his eyes widening. It was really good. He began to scarf it down. "Whoa, slow down. You don't want to choke," Dick said. Huffing a little, Danny sort of slowed down, finishing it just after Dick picked his. "What kind of bread was that? Why is it red?" Danny asked curiously, eyeing the tiered platters, debating if he should grab another. "Pretty sure it was tomato basil bread," Jason responded. "Have another, kid. There's plenty." Danny grabbed one that he was pretty sure was one of the ham and cheese ones, devouring that one quickly as well. Alfred arrived with pitchers and water, a teapot full of jasmine tea, like his elephant, and a pot of coffee along with an assortment of mugs and glasses. Dick insisted that Danny drink water, since he'd been crying so much. After his second full glass of water, Danny felt himself drifting again. Dick and his siblings were talking about Dick's job. Apparently, he used to be a cop in a city not far away called Bloodhaven. There was also another city across the bay called Metropolis. Dick still had to finish moving the last couple items from his apartment. Damien and Jason volunteered to help him with the last items. That was nice of them. Yawning, Danny leaned against his dad, Dick. The voices were soothing. He was surrounded by all these people. It was nice. The last time he'd been around this many people had been when he'd initially woken up. All of them were family this time. Well, they had been the first time, too, not that he'd known that. "Falling asleep, sweetheart?" Dick whispered. Danny didn't respond, but nuzzled where he was, leaning into his dad, Dick's side. Danny's eyes were already closed, and he was tired of fighting sleep, of fighting exhaustion, so he let himself lose the fight and fall. Danny briefly awoke when he'd heard some shrieking. He blinked and groaned, rubbing sleepily at his eyes. "Hey, it's all right. Go back to sleep," said a voice. Oh, it was his dad. But which one, Nightwing or Dick? They both sounded the same, and kind of looked the same. They both called him Little Bird. Were they twins? No, they both couldn't be his dad. Or could they? Whatever, he'd think about it later. "Danny," someone called, shaking him. Danny grumbled, trying to swat at the hand. All that got him was a chuckle. Reluctantly, he opened them. He'd been moved slightly, so that he was more comfortable draped across on top of Dick. "He's so cute," someone whispered from his left. It was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman in a purple sweatshirt. Yep, he had a familial bond with her. Just how many kids had Bruce adopted? Or had? Danny had a lot of aunts and uncles. Or was she a cousin? No, definitely another one of Dick's siblings, based on how she interacted with the others. "Come on, Danny, you need to get off me for a minute," Dick said with a grin, poking his side. Danny slid off the older man till he was standing just in front of the couch. Behind him, Dick sat up before grabbing Danny and pulling him into Dick's lap. Danny looked up at the man, annoyed. Why was he made to get off, only to be pulled right back in? Danny got his answer when Bruce sat down next to them silently. Danny hadn't even noticed that the man was there. Cass was still on the other end of the couch, The blonde woman with the hoodie sat down next to Tim. Damien and Jason were still in the armchairs, as was an African-American man. Ahem. Dick loudly cleared his throat. Thanks everyone for coming. I know you've all heard about him, but I wanted to introduce you all to my son. Daniel Thomas Grayson, also known as Danny. Danny, everyone here in this room is our family and closest friends. The blonde one on the couch is Stephanie Brown. You've already met my brothers, Tim, Jason, and Damien. That there is Duke Thomas, and you've already met Alfred, Bruce, and Cass. Dick? Danny piped up. Yes, Danny? You said everyone in the room is family or close friends. Yes? Why are you lying? Danny asked with a frown. What do you mean? Dick asked, confused. I have family bonds with everyone in the room. Danny responded. It was rather obvious, the glowing little lines that connected them all. Family bonds? What are you talking about? Dick said, looking concerned. The little glowy lines. Here. Danny didn't know why Dick was pretending he couldn't see them. He grabbed the line that connected him and Dick. It brightened, becoming more solid. There. Danny smiled, pleased. He looked back at Dick's face, only to see the man wide-eyed in shock. Danny glanced around the room. It looked like everyone was surprised by the bond. Oh no. Was Danny the only one who could see them? Was this another one of his powers? He couldn't remember this one. I'm pretty sure they're family bonds. I have them with everyone here, so we're all family? Danny asked unsurely. Do you have these with everyone? Dick asked eventually. No, I didn't have any with Superman or Miss Martian. Danny paused, biting his lip. Oh, but I did have some with some of the heroes. I have bonds with Nightwing, Batman, Red Hood, Red Robin, and Robin. The room sat in silence for a moment, before Stephanie spoke up. So, Danny, you have a family bond with me? Uh-huh. You're one of my aunts, right? Your bond looks the same as the one I have with Cass. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to say, as Stephanie's eyes turned a bit watery. Huh, cool. Duke had a contemplative look on his face. Did they not know they were family? The room was silent for a while. Danny couldn't help but feel slightly disappointed. He hadn't realized that he was the only one who could see them. Now who was going to explain how that worked to him? Not only that, but it seemed like he kept surprising everyone and making the room go silent and awkward. Dick squeezed him tight, keeping Danny's back flush against his chest. Can you let me know next time you meet someone and you have a bond? Dick asked softly. Danny nodded. Dick sighed deeply. Thank you, sweetheart. Taking a deep breath, Dick addressed Danny, but louder so the rest of the room could hear. Danny, everyone in this room is your family. Everyone has been really excited to meet you, and we all have gifts for you to welcome you to the family. Dick explained with a smile, booping Danny gently on the nose with one of his fingers. You already got one of my gifts last night, your elephant. We are going to go around the room in a circle, so you're up, Grandpa, Dick teased, nudging Bruce with his elbow. Danny squirmed excitedly. Bringing out a small black box with a light blue bow from his pocket, Bruce placed it on Danny's hands. Here you are, chum. Hope you like it. Removing the ribbon and opening the box, Danny gasped. Inside was a thick black leather and cord bracelet with a pendant that looked like a galaxy. Setting Jasmine aside, he picked it up out of the box and slipped it onto his wrist. Here, Bruce said, turning his body towards Danny, helping him tighten it around his arm. Thank you, Danny whispered, looking into his grandpa, Bruce's eyes. It looks like the stars. Did you know that the stars were the first thing I saw when I woke up? Danny asked. I did. Nightwing and Batman told me. As Danny admired his new bracelet, he felt Bruce lean towards Dick and whisper. It has a GPS monitor, heart rate monitor, among other things. I will send you all the information later. Since he was sitting on his dad, Dick's lap, he couldn't see the man's reaction. There was a shifting further down the couch as Cass stood up, making her way towards Danny with the 2 items in hand. She handed Danny a foil-lined bag. "Smell," she stated. Curious, Danny opened it and sniffed, his eyes widening. It smelled citrusy, and kind of like the ground after it rained, or at least that's what his brain said. "What is it?" "Awesome tea. My favorite. We drink together. Sometime. Yes?" Cass asked with a smile. "Yeah, thank you. Oh, this is a rose, right?" he said as he accepted the other gift, which was a pot with a white rose with pink and red stripes. He'd never seen a rose like this before. "Rose, yes. No thorns. Alfred and I take care of the roses outside. Martha's roses. You can learn. Help out, if you want." Danny perked up. Oh, Cass wanted to spend time with him. Hang out. That's why she'd given him these things. She wanted to spend time with him, get to know him. She wanted to be his aunt. His inner self flustered in excitement and happiness. Danny gave her a beaming grin. "Thank you, Aunt Cass. I'm really excited to hang out with you, too." Aunt Cass smiled, patting him on the head before heading back to her spot on the couch. "Here," Dick said behind him, grabbing the flower pot and moving it to the coffee table. "Let's make some room for your other gifts." Dick also moved the tea and jazz to the table. Danny froze. "Is it my birthday? Is that why I'm getting gifts?" he whispered, trying to turn around to whisper in Dick's ear, but Dick was holding him firmly in place in one hand while he used the other to make more room on the table. "No, it's not your birthday," Dick chuckled. "You don't really have anything, so everyone decided to get you welcome gifts. You're our newest family member, after all." "All right, my turn," yelled Stephanie, grabbing a brightly colored blue and yellow pastel gift bag, handing it over to Danny. "Danny, cute little nephew of mine, this is just a taste of what you and I are going to be up to tomorrow." Curious, Danny removed the tissue paper, head tilting upon seeing the stacked t-shirts in the bag. Pulling them out one by one, he gasped, his eyes going wide. They were shirts with different heroes on them. The first one had Batman and Robin on it. He excitedly pulled out the next one, grinning upon seeing Nightwing on the next. "Steph, you didn't," Dick said tiredly. "I totally did. They're shirts with all of Gotham's vigilantes, also ones with Bloodhaven's own masked hero," Stephanie said proudly. "I love them," Danny exclaimed. He wanted to wear the Nightwing one now. "Whoa, what are you doing, Danny?" Dick exclaimed, stopping Danny from removing his shirt. "I want to wear the Nightwing one," he protested. "You can wear it tomorrow. You won't want to make extra laundry and work for Great-Grandpa Alfred, do you?" Dick asked. "No," Danny muttered. Sighing, he looked over to his Aunt Steph. "Thank you." "Of course, bud. We can get you even more tomorrow." Dick groaned softly behind Danny. Tim was next, and he reached out to the side of the couch, pulling out a box. It was passed down the line of people, from Tim to Steph, Steph to Cass, Cass to Bruce, and finally from Bruce to Danny. It was kinda heavy. Removing the lid, inside were a couple of items that Danny didn't fully recognize. They seemed to be some sort of electronics in bubble wrap. "Tim, a tablet and a Switch? He's 7, Dick scolded. "There are parental controls already on the tablet, and the Switch just has Animal Crossing, Pokemon, and Zelda," Tim clarified. "Besides, you're going to need something to keep him busy on rainy days, or days when you're a bit more tired." "More tired? Did Dick not sleep well? He fell asleep quickly last night." Thank you, Tim," Danny said. He didn't really know what the Switch was, but he knew what a tablet was. He'd seen plenty of them used in the Watchtower, but they'd all been used for work. Why would Tim get him something that was for adults? "No problem, Danny. I have a Switch, and so does Steph. Let me know if you ever want to play together," Tim said with a smile, before taking a sip of his coffee. "Oh, so the Switch was something for games. Got it." "Guess that means I'm up," Jason commented, standing up and passing a neatly wrapped box to Dick. Opening it up was a boxed set of books, along with 2 others which had been placed on top of the boxed set, and wrapped with it. One of the loose books was a collection of Grimm's fairy tales, with beautiful illustrations on some of the pages. The other was Coraline, which had an illustration of a girl holding candles on the front. The boxed set was for Anne of Green Gables books. Jay, these are great, although Coraline might need to wait a bit. What do you think, Danny? Want me to read to you before you go to bed, or read with Jay? Dick might be more excited about this one than Danny. He felt himself blush slightly. He was maybe a little old to be read fairy tales before bed, but Danny couldn't deny that snuggling up with his dad, Dick, and having him read to him sounded amazing. Jason had said that he liked classic books. Are the Anne of Green Gables classics? Danny asked Jason, swinging his legs a little. He was getting a little antsy, being on Dick's lap for so long. He also ignored Dick's question for now. Yep, sure is. It's one of the easier ones to read, especially for your age, Jason remarked. Danny thanked him, leaning forward to set the books down on the dwindling space of the coffee table. Leaning down to grab a box underneath a chair, Duke slid out a rectangle along with a small bag. Here you go, Danny. Welcome to the family. And, thanks for just automatically considering me family, Duke said awkwardly, rubbing his hand behind his neck. Thanks, Danny said, smiling to himself. I'm sure I'll love them. It was kind of cute how shy Duke was. The box turned out to be a puzzle. The image on it was emblazoned with the title, The Justice League, and had a variety of heroes on it. Danny recognized a few that he'd seen at the watchtower. The small bag had a wooden cube thing that was 3x3. Every other square was made up of the cube was darker, the wood stained dark brown. Let me know if you finish the puzzle. I have a lot of them, and I wouldn't mind a buddy to help me solve them. I will, Danny promised. Danny squirmed slightly, knowing Damien was next. He wasn't entirely sure what the man thought of him. He seemed a bit surly or annoyed with Danny at times. Danny, take these, Damien stated, handing over 3 neatly wrapped gifts. Opening, Danny was surprised to find a sketchbook, along with fancy-looking colored pencils and watercolors. Should you need any assistance in how to use them, or pointers when it comes to drawing, feel free to reach out. Danny blinked in surprise. Maybe Damien did actually like him. Thank you, Damien, Danny said with a smile, running his fingers over the pencils. Damien's gifts joined the little pile on the coffee table. My dear boy, began Alfred, stepping forward. Danny turned to look at him. It has been some time since a child's laughter has graced these halls. I have looked forward to your arrival since the moment Master Dick decided to bring you home. Alfred handed Danny a soft, dark blue, almost black blanket that had little white dots along the pink and purple on it. Was this? Yes, it was! It was a blanket that looked like a galaxy. It was so soft, too. Danny took one of the edges and rubbed it against his cheek, his core fluttering in happiness. Danny wrapped it around himself, unintentionally hitting Dick in the face a little with the blanket. He'd gotten so many nice gifts from everyone, and he was so excited to use and try out all of them. He hadn't expected this, but this was so nice of everyone. Material things didn't buy love, but Danny could see how much thought and care everyone had put into their gifts for him. It's really soft. Thanks, Alfred. Thank you again, everyone. I didn't expect any of this. It's really nice. Thank you. You didn't have to, Danny said shyly. Danny felt himself get squeezed happily against Dick, and a kiss placed in his hair. The people around the room, his family, replied with various forms of "you're welcome." Danny squirmed in his spot on Dick's lap. Getting restless, Danny? Dick asked, amused. Yeah, wanna go play? Okay, but you have to take someone with you, Dick replied, cuddling Danny a little more before addressing the room. All right, who wants to play with their nephew? Oh, me! Stephanie shouted, jumping out of her seat, hand raised as if she was waiting to be called on. Danny slid off Dick's lap, clutching the blanket still wrapped around his shoulders. "Wait." Danny paused, looking back at Dick, who had grabbed the blanket. "You shouldn't drag it around like that, if you want to keep it clean. Here, I'll hold on to it, okay?" "Or," Dick sighed, "you can take it if you really want to. Just be careful not to trip on it, okay?" Danny looked at his blanket cape, pondering. He didn't really want to get it dirty. He wanted to have it in his room, to wrap himself up in at night. Danny hummed. "Okay, but I'm taking Jazz then." Danny relented, letting go of the blanket and grabbing his elephant, heading towards the door where Steph was waiting. Cass also headed towards the entrance of the library. Once they were outside, Steph put her hands on her hips and bent down slightly. "All right, kiddo, what do you want to do?" Aunt Steph and Aunt Cass were super fun. He felt more confident calling them that after they'd conspired together to slide down the banisters in front of the entranceway, with one of their aunties keeping watch to ensure that they didn't get caught by Alfred or any of the others. They'd spent some time doing that before he was led to a sitting room to make a blanket fort. He'd never made one before, and it was rather fun. They had to move some of the furniture and had grabbed a wooden rack to help support the blankets on the center. Once they'd made the fort, the three of them sat under the fabric canopy. Aunt Steph was really nice, and she kept the conversation flowing. He told her about how he liked stars and how he hoped to put the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Danny whispered to them about Nightwing coming to check on him last night, how he was hoping the masked hero would continue to look out for him. His aunts had given each other a look when he told them that. Aunt Stephanie told him how she was a nurse at Gotham General. She showed him pictures of all sorts of colorful scrubs. She also had all of them take a quiz called "What Justice League Hero Are You?" Danny had gotten Superman, Aunt Cass had gotten Wonder Woman, and Aunt Steph had gotten Flash. Aunt Cass didn't say much, but she told Danny about her travels and showed him some pictures. She'd also showed him some videos of her dancing. Aunt Cass had been so graceful, so pretty. She'd moved in perfect time with the music. When Danny asked her if she could teach him how to dance like that, Cass patted him on the head and nodded. They were watching more videos of Aunt Cass dancing when someone else invaded their fort. "Beep beep, make room for me, guys," Dick said as he crawled into the fort. Aunt Steph moved over so Dick could lay between her and Danny. "Dick, we're watching Aunt Cass's dancing videos. Isn't she pretty?" Danny asked, happy to see his dad, the man, leaning against his shoulder. "She is really pretty. Cass is an amazing dancer. Let's finish this video, then it's time for dinner, okay?" Dick told him, ruffling Danny's hair. Danny hummed. "Okay." Danny had no idea how long it had been since they'd left the library. He was getting hungry, though. After dinner, Danny had to help Dick take down the blanket fort. It was kinda sad. He'd worked hard to build it with his aunts, but Dick reassured him that they could rebuild it whenever Danny wanted, which was cool. Much to Danny's delight and embarrassment, Dick followed through on reading him fairy tales before bed. After reading him the story of Hansel and Gretel, Dick tucked him and Jazz in and kissed Danny's forehead. Turning to his side, Danny fell asleep. This concludes Chapter 6 of A Second Life. I hope you liked this and there wasn't too much background noise. You will probably only notice it if you're wearing headphones or blasting the video, probably. The next chapter should be up soon. Thank you so much for listening.